Andrea,
yes.
You're still with us. That's really good. And today we've got something special for you because we've played your favorite format, right?
Yeah, I love Vintage Cube. Today is a little variation on there. We're playing Legacy Cube, but still.
So we recorded your entire draft, and we're gonna look at the draft right now, and then later on we're gonna check out the gameplay.
Yep. I'm excited for that.
All right, so going into Legacy Cube, like no booster opened yet, what's your strategy?
So this is Legacy Cube, meaning that you're not gonna have the early moxes, like the Power 9 moxes, the Soaring, the Mana Crypt, but you still need that mana acceleration to go on top of your opponent. I think that green does that best. If I don't love green in Vintage Cube, I love it in Legacy or Modern Cubes.
That makes sense. I mean, yeah, having access to more resources than your opponent makes your deck usually do better things than your opponent, so yeah, sticking to green seems like a good strategy.
Yeah, and plus like, your opponent is not gonna do that many unfair things like in Vintage Cube, so green usually has less answers, so still good enough.
All right, let's get into the draft. So we jump straight into your first pack. We already see some great green cards here. So we've got a Garruk, we've got a Primeval Titan, we've got an Ignoble Hierarch. Where is your eye going?
I prefer usually the cheaper card. I have a general rule in limited that happens to every limited format, which is if you have a decision between a 2-drop or a 4-drop, a 1-drop or a 6-drop, just go for the cheaper one because you're gonna play as many cheap cards as possible, but you're not gonna play 6 drops.
Yeah, so even going with the Ignoble Hierarch over the Primeval Titan, that just shows your dedication to that strategy.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, you're right. You will not play all the 7 drops in your decks, right? But you will probably play all the 1-drop elves that you can get. So sitting pretty on that first pick. Is a Mana Dork something you're happy to first pick?
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Something as strong as a Noble Hierarch or an Ignoble Hierarch is definitely it.
All right, so here we see a Once Upon a Time, a Vivian, an Arid Mesa, a nice fetch land, but then there's an Opposition.
Yeah, Opposition is an archetype defining card. Blue-green Opposition, one of the strongest archetype, even in Vintage Cube. You just use that early mana acceleration to like deploy your 4 or 6 drop early, and then once you have your elves down, you use them thanks to Opposition to tap down your opponent's lands.
It's crazy, right? Because these green decks usually don't have that much interaction, and Opposition gives you interaction, and it turns your useless mana elves in the late game into useful, cards that tap down your opponent's stuff. So second pick Opposition, also really nice to go alongside the Ignoble Hierarch, even though the Ignoble Hierarch doesn't produce blue.
Yeah, there on the phone you see my usual first pick picture that I tend to post on my Twitter account every day at Cube.
So if you're interested in what Andrea Mengucci is first picking in cubes, go follow him on Twitter. Here you have pulled up the Steam Vents and the Arbor Elf. Now going with the strategy of lots of elves, I would assume you pick the Arbor Elf here?
Yeah, there's also Footful Primus, which is an excellent target for something like a Natural Order or Sneak Attack, but I'm just, I have the Opposition now, and let's do that.
And if it wasn't clear before, it's clear now that you really focused those mana creatures, because there was also a Tooth and Nail and a Karn Liberated, all of which are great, expensive threats, but then there was also that Mana Dork, and you need the Mana Dork to kind of get up there.
For sure.
All right, going into the next pack, we have a Fractured Identity, followed up by not a lot of green cards.
Well, there's a counterspell, which is really good interaction, even in a blue-green deck, although double blue is pretty tough, but I'm just taking Fracture Identity, just one of the strongest card in the cube here. It's like a mind control, but you get an ATB, you can target a permanent, a planeswalker, an artifact, just anything.
Yeah, it's like a mind control on steroids, so you're happy to splash that?
Very happy.
I mean, and you're already kind of in blue. Let's see what the next pack has to offer. We see an Everflowing Chalice. What's your thought on Artifact Ramp in the green deck?
So Artifact Ramp is really good if you're not green, because you need that for that like mana boost I told you about, but green doesn't need that. So if you're relying on Artifact, you might get yourself flooded, because you can use the green cards for, a Natural Order or an Opposition, whereas the artifacts, not really, so they're just basically lands. On top of that, they are weak to artifact land destruction, whereas a green deck doesn't suffer that.
Yeah, the creatures can provide late game utility in lots of ways, like there's a bunch of, Creative Behemoth or something that makes them useful, whereas the artifacts don't. it almost looked like a weak pack, and then there was that Crater Hoof. So as you said, no more Mana Elf in the pack, but a payoff ready to be found.
Yeah, this pack is very red heavy. Red, I mean, either the pack was super red heavy or red is super open, but I'm just pretty happy with my lane. I have some good cards here. Crater Hoof Behemoth, of course, now waiting for a natural order or just 8 mana old way.
Yeah, I mean, now is kind of the time where we will see how open your lane is with green, and it currently isn't looking too great.
Yeah, this pack is not amazing. There's an Abundant Harvest, and that's about it. All the pack is black. I decided to go with the Conclave Tribunal here, which is, you could say it's a little bit weak as an Oblivion Ring, but it's just a removal spell. I'm gonna end up like not main decking it, but I sideboard it in against Reanimator, for example.
I mean, it is what it is, a kind of inefficient removal spell that gets the job done in the end. Like, it removes a thing if you need a thing removed, so yeah, maybe not main deck material here. We'll see how that goes. For now, yet another pack without any useful green cards here.
Yeah, green seems to be not that open, but I'm happy to take a Thieving Skydiver. At the end of the day, there's Artifact, there's equipments, and Thieving Skydiver gets the job done.
Yeah, it kind of fills up the mid-game curve of your deck, where you can probably cast it for 4 mana and steal something useful, maybe even steal ramp to ramp into your own good threats. Are there enough artifacts in Legacy Cube for Skydiver to be good value?
In this cube in particular, there are Signets, and we've seen Overflowing Chalice, and again, equipments is definitely a thing.
Yeah, I mean, stealing equipments is big game, right? In the mid game, like stealing an equipment, basically taking a Signet, taking control of a land. The Garruk wheeled, and as did the Behemoth. Now, which one are you going to go for here?
Yeah, this pack is loaded. There's the Gargarod, the 2 Ulamog's, and the Garruk. I love Garruks because I love Planeswalkers in green, because green is usually weak to sweepers, like a Damnation or a Toxic Deluge, so just having a Planeswalker is really good.
And this pack, oh wow, while we didn't see a lot of green in the packs before, green seems to be very open with Vivian and Once Upon a Time and Pelucranos wheeling.
Yeah, I'm going to do Once Upon a Time once again, cheaper cards first. Once Upon a Time, excellent to replace a land. For example, in this draft, I end up playing 15 lands plus Once Upon a Time, so it's really just a free spell to add in your spell pile.
Yeah, in your opening hand, if you have a Once Upon a Time, very likely to find a land there. Let's see if anything good comes around. And it's a Frost Titan.
Yeah, Frost Titan, I mean, perfectly fine playable.
I mean, you talked about this like 2 minutes ago, where you said, you know, Mana Elves, there aren't that many Mana Elves in the cube, but you can always find a payoff. And you did exactly that, right? Like, late in the pack, there was still a good payoff for a green-blue ramp deck in Frost Titan.
Yeah, for sure. You see me always reorganizing my picks. I think it's a pretty important thing. Of course, it's not a thing that you do in the competitive events like GP Day Tour, stuff like that, but in a casual event like a cube, I think it's really important that you have your curve layout, and you know what you're doing. Also, of course, for the recording and stuff like that, but that's definitely a thing I recommend doing for like a more casual type of draft.
Yeah, in a relaxed environment, that's something very good to do to, you know, just keep your mind on where your deck is. You just picked up a Show and Tell. Tell me a bit about this card in your archetype. Do you like it?
Show and Tell, I don't think it's a good card in the green deck. Maybe you can sideboard it in against Mono Red to put into play something like, a Sphinx of the Steel Wind or some huge cards like that. In this case, I think Show and Tell is playable in a deck like Eureka, Sneak Attack, Through the Breach type of deck, but here, I'm not thrilled. It's going to be sideboard material.
Yeah, your pure ramp strategy doesn't evolve that much with it. Now here, fresh 15 cards. We're hoping to see something good.
Yeah, Acidic Slime is another of these like 5 or 6 mana filler card that I don't mind playing, but obviously I don't want to first pick it.
And then there's a Wall of Blossoms, and that's just nothing, right?
Yeah,
like, it's just empty.
Not a great pack, but it's okay. Sometimes it happens. Again, like when you're only 2 colors, when you limit yourself to 2 colors, sometimes it can go like this and.
Yeah, but just
kind of dancing,
kind of a stinker. But you're still in great mood, apparently.
Yeah, there was like, you can't hear it, but it was like a pretty nice beat, some nice music going on, and that was.
We should do that at Grand Prix Day 2. Put on some music over the speakers.
Yeah.
Instead of the judge announcements.
But yeah, Wall of Blossoms, I mean, it gets the job done, eventually tops the thing with opposition and blocks if you're playing against an aggro deck. Not thrilled to play it, but that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does have the creature utility going on. We already see a Beanstalk Giant, also not too great, so let's hope this pack is better than the 15 we just saw.
Yeah. Here there's a good old German promo card, so despite I know every card, sometimes
you don't know the artwork, especially with the...
Yeah, to ask about that. All right, first land here. Actually, I haven't seen a single land yet.
That's a Windswept Teeth, right?
Yeah, Windswept Teeth, really nice since I have the Fractured Identity to fix, but also like with a Tropical Island, it's a tri-land.
Yeah, right. Like the fetch land is actually really important in this spot, so that's kind of a card you're happy to see as a pick too, right? You might not expect this to be like a good pick, but this is actually really important for your deck.
Yeah, I'm very happy about this. I just didn't get a single land in first pack. That's because Tor of Toffel to my right, he was picking every land because he ended up playing 5-color Enigmas.
Of course he does. So really nice here. You're still looking for that Tropical Island or the Breeding Pool. Now what do we have here? There's a Preordain, there's a Brainstorm.
There's a very important card in this pack, which is Silva Library. Green decks often struggle with like card advantage engines, so Silva Library will be perfect for that.
Yeah, right. You can, like, ramping, you can easily run out of steam if your one main threat gets countered or something. With the Sylvan Library in play, not so much, because you just keep drawing cards over and over again. So...
And with Sylvan Library cards like Fetch Land or Search for Tomorrow get even better, because you get to, like, shuffle the unwanted lands.
Yeah, right. Also with Once Upon a Time in the late game, but that makes the Windswept Teeth from earlier even more important. There's a big Emrakul.
Yep.
And nothing else.
There's Mana Leak. I really like interactions in the form of Mana Leak. This is even better than Counterspell, I think, because it is the colorless mana, which is easier on your mana base. I'm really happy with Mana Leak, actually.
All right, that's interesting to hear. I always consider the kind of green ramp decks, you know, I always think, don't they tap out during their turn and then they don't really have mana up for the interaction?
You could obviously tap out your turn if you have to play like a Garruk or stuff like that, but ideally, this is your way to interact with combo decks, which otherwise you're just kind of cold to.
Yeah, you already talked about like the absence of combo decks in Legacy Cube making green even stronger.
Yeah. Happy to take X-Drinker here. It's a card I don't have in my cube that sometimes shows up in the online, the MTGO cube. I really like. It's a cool card. It's gonna be nice in this deck since I don't have that many 1-drops.
All right, so kind of an experimental card. We'll keep our eyes on it when watching the gameplay. So we're kind of still lacking the finishers, right? Like we have one Craterhoof and one Frost Titan, but we would be looking for something else too, right?
Yeah, this pack is already great.
Oh wow, it just doesn't stop, the pack. It opens up strong with an Avacyn's Pilgrim and then it just doesn't stop. So what do you make of this?
Yeah, Lotus Cobra, Avacyn's Pilgrim are the best cheaper card, but you have like expensive great cards like Ornate Queen, Avenger of Zendikar, Thragtusk. You're really just fine with whatever tables out of this. I'm taking Avacyn Pilgrim here because I said I want cheaper cards. I want 1-drop to go 1, 3, 6.
Yeah, so yeah. I mean, by now I hope every viewer has understood that when drafting green, to get ahead on mana quickly, you will want to play something on 1. So you're prioritizing that. What do we have here? Right. There's a Spellbreaker.
There's a Spell Seeker, a Time Warp. This is a Time Warp, which right now it's fine. It's gonna be even better if I get some Planeswalker, but most importantly, cards like Eternal Witness. There was a Green Warden of Muraza earlier, maybe a Dam Protector, and you know, any type of Eternal Witness might give you the extra turn. That's huge.
Yeah, so now you kind of set yourself up for the future packs that are coming right now, making some of the cards much higher value than to other drafters.
Yeah, I ended up not playing the Time Warp, but definitely like good to keep myself open to like that powerful combination.
I mean, yeah, it's just good setup for what else is still to come. For what's still to come, there's a Dismember here. Is that the type of interaction you're looking for?
Yeah, either that. I mean, in this pack there was also a Path to Exile, which could have splashed. Although I just don't really want to tax too much the White Splash since I don't even have that many lands, so I decided to go with Dismember. Again, not gonna end up playing it, but I think it's good to just have interactions.
Yeah. Although this is only interactions for creatures. All right, the only other green card in the pack wheeled. So that's a good sign, I guess, even though the card itself isn't too exciting.
That's a very good signal, actually. Acidic Slime is a fine filler, but I'm really happy to wheel it out of a pack that had no playables otherwise.
Yeah, we remember opening that as pack 1. Pick 1. Beast Within. More interaction.
Yeah, it's not an interaction. I'm not the biggest fan of Beast Within, but again, if I end up shorting playable, Beast Within will probably be better than Dismember.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, it does not only interact with creatures, but it still interacts with creatures if you need to.
Yeah, it just kills like anything that can go on, even like in combat, they can attack, you blow up your land and block with the 3/3. It's a fine card.
Do you consider the days at all here?
If I had a better mana base like Tropical Island, Breeding Pool, Alouette Fountain, then maybe yes, but since my mana base is gonna be probably something like 3 or 4 islands, I don't want to play a 2 mana 4 spike.
Yeah, you still haven't found that important Tropical Island or Breeding Pool yet, because it would make the Windswept Heath that much better.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, we are still needing to wheel that pretty powerful green pack. Here I'm very surprised to see a Preordain. It's such a premium card if you're in blue.
Yeah. It's so powerful that you even end up picking it.
Yeah, not so much here because again, I'm not gonna have that much blue sources, so it's not gonna happen on turn 1. But
yeah. All right. We're still kind of low on payoffs. I still want to see a payoff. Is Emrakul a payoff for 15 mana? It strikes me as a bit too much for a ramp deck.
Yeah, there was a sneak attack around, but I don't think I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, probably. Probably not.
We got a nice Ephemerate. If I see an Eternal Witness, I can get a 3-card combo down. Eternal Witness, Ephemerate, Time Warp.
Yeah, that just makes for infinite turns. And there's that green pack. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Avenger of Zendikar over Scavenging Ooze. They're both fine. I was actually, if I told you earlier that I take the cheaper card, we're actually arriving to the end of the draft, so I actually need to look at my curve and be like, I miss expensive cards. And Avenger of Zendikar are particularly great with opposition.
Yeah, we were talking about how like there was still some payoff needed, but I mean, it just proves you right, where a payoff is the second to last pick, and these are more of the first picks that you want to see, right? You have the choice between Ugin, a Tree Speaker, a Farseek.
Yeah, very happy with the Tree Speaker. Dragon Tree Speaker, one of the best 1-drops in green for sure. That gives you like so much mana just. But I also love Farseek here because I have a double blue card in opposition. I have some blue cards like Mana Leak and maybe Time Warp I was considering playing, and of course Fracture Identity, so I feel like I want the fixing from either Cultivate or Farseek over the Jiraga.
Wow, that's interesting, given that, you know, cheaper is always better is a rule that you applied to drafting. How high do you think is the chance of that Tree Speaker wheeling?
Yeah, there's of course that chance because I've been seeing like all the green wheeling, and unless you're mono green, you're not gonna take Jiraga Tree Speaker probably. So I feel like I'm taking Farseek also because of that, also because the Jiraga might wheel.
Oh, so this will be an exciting pack to see wheel, because I mean, we did see an Avenger of Zendikar going second to last, so if there's a chance that a Tree Speaker might wheel, it would be here.
Plus, I already have enough 1-drops. Like, I'm not saying I don't want more, of course, but I already have like 4 1-drops. That's not bad.
And here we don't only see Pestermite Splinter Twin, we also see the Breeding Pool, finally!
Yeah, I'm so happy to see Breeding Pool here. Now my Windswept Heath is a tri-land, my Farseek can get me a blue-green land, so I'm just very happy to see the Breeding Pool here.
It has to be the slam here, right?
Yeah.
All right.
It's an Expedition Breeding Pool.
Ideally, of course, you would find more fetch lands and or a tropical island, but at this point you've got the Breeding Pool secured, so it can't go terribly wrong. We see a Gem Razor alongside a Shark Typhoon and a Sakura Tribe Elder hiding towards the end of the pack. What do you make of this?
I love Sakura Tribe Elder. It's both the fixing that I told you before with the Farseek pick, as well as a creature for your opposition. Actually, during the game, I will draw a Sakura Tribe Elder on turn like 6, and there will be just another fodder to tap down an opponent land, whereas if it was a Farseek, well, it would have just been a land.
Yeah, so much utility within like one card, because it's a creature, it can block, it can ramp, it can fix, and it can tap down things with opposition.
Yeah.
So this is a German version of 3 visits.
Yeah, 3 visits, it's a land. I'm just asking what does it do exactly, because it can get a breeding pool.
Yeah, it says get a forest, and it gets it into play untapped. So you would assume that this is a great pick for you, but then the rest of the pack delivers once more.
This pack is crazy good. You have Hydroid Crazes, Uro, Questing Beast. You just have it all, and you have Fall from Favor.
Yeah, Fall from Favor giving you the Monarch is insane, right? Like that's just that can just be game winning on turn like 2 or 3.
Yeah, and the blue and the green blue land, it just has it all. But Fall from Favor, it's basically a Palace Jailer, killing taking down a creature, becoming the Monarch, start drawing cards. It's very good.
Yeah, so another piece of interaction actually picked up for your green-blue ramp deck.
Yeah, just your removals in blue, it's not a thing happens every day, and as well like a card advantage card. This is a sick card, and like, yeah, really, really good despite being a common.
I think like many players will usually think of green ramp strategies as kind of uninteractive, but you're telling all of them wrong, because you know, your deck actually has a bunch of interaction, and once again a great green pack coming around. Yeah,
we see Glenalander Archmage. This is another very important card for green decks, because you don't have counterspell usually. So what you do is ideally you just lay out all your creatures and just pray they don't have a damnation. But what if you have a Glenalander Archmage? You don't even have to fear the damnation.
Yeah, exactly. So either you just keep the 5th mana up to counter their sweeper, or you know, if you get sweeped, you at least get 1 counter back. You're looking kind of jealous at that Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, that was a nice Wheel of Fortune. But I'm gonna get a Remand here again. Counterspell. It's cool.
Yeah, also great because it doesn't leave you down a card, as the ramp deck, you know, requires its ramp cards and its payoffs cards. Remand, kind of the great counterspell to delay your opponent just to get your threats through.
It used to be a modern playable.
Oh yes, remember the times remanding your own spell for value when your opponent counters it?
Yep, very important here. So, happy with Remand, Mana Leak, Glenalander Archmage. I do have some counterspell in my green deck. I'm pretty happy about it.
Yeah. Alright, Phyrexian Metamorph and a Utopia Sprawl alongside 2 more Mana Dorks. 3 more Mana Dorks.
Yeah, this pack is great. I'm gonna go for Birds of Paradise because that's both like blue fixing, as cheap as a 1 mana. Just like Utopia Sprawl, with the difference that, well, it's a creature for both Behemoth and opposition.
Yeah, it's actually kind of a tense situation between Utopia Sprawl and the bird, because the bird is a creature for opposition and fixing, but Utopia Sprawl really good with Arbor Elf and Garruk. You know, untapping your lands.
For sure. I didn't even think about that interaction at the time, but it's a really good one, of course.
But yes, close call, and I think the creature can definitely pull its weight. So here you have the choice between Walking Ballista and Time Spiral.
Yeah, so Time Spiral is really good. If it was in first pack, I think I would have taken it because you have Narset, Hullbreacher, and Leovold to combo with it. Since we're very few picks towards the end, I'm gonna take a Ballista, which is another like later payoff that I can like play. Ended up not playing in the main deck, but definitely brought it in a couple of times.
It's crazy good against creature decks, isn't it? Like when you get to 6 mana, put down a 3/3, just ping.
Yeah, and it can even be a Mog Fanatic for 2 mana, worst case scenario against a Dagger deck.
Against like a Ragavan or something that you really... and it all paid off, Andrea!
Yeah, the Draga Tree Speaker is back.
Yeah, Draga Tree Speaker coming back. That's huge game for your deck.
Yeah, all my 1-drops now are in.
I just want to see turn 1 Tree Speaker, turn 2 level up, 2 Mana Dorks.
Yeah.
Right, someone picked up the Pestermite, the Splinter Twin still in the pack.
Yeah, I'm gonna hate draft the Splinter Twin here.
You're not letting them have any fun.
Yeah.
Picking that Splinter Twin.
I do that. Okay, we see a Gem Razor. I love that card. Making your Arbor Elf a 4/4 trample reach that also shatters an artifact or enchantment. Really good for just 3 mana.
Yeah, so that's what you go with. Any consideration for Cryptic Command, or is that just too much?
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna plan to have that much blue mana. Even the opposition will be hard to do. I ended up not playing either Time Warp or First Titan because I want to have a lot of forest. That's sometimes a mistake that people do is just they put not enough 4s, but I want to play like 11 or 12.
I mean, when your entire deck revolves around playing a 1-drop on turn 1, then yes, please play enough 4s. As we see, 2 great cards actually making it into your deck during the later stages of the draft here. Green Sun Zenith and Questing Beast.
Yeah, Questing Beast is really good because green decks really has troubles in dealing with Planeswalker. So Questing Beast just being like pressure plus killing Planeswalkers. And of course, Green Sun Zenith is amazing in a deck that has a lot of 1-drop, Questing Beast and Acidic Slime, as well as Creature of Behemoth.
Yeah, you kind of have that toolbox going on alongside a Devoted Druid, making it.
Yeah, more rammed, but I think I'm good with my 1-drops.
In pack 1, I kind of had my doubts about, you know, forcing the green. Green didn't seem very open, but holy moly, was towards the end of the draft, I was getting crazy. All the green cards came around.
Yeah, I'm very happy with the deck. It turned out really well.
I mean, and we'll get to see you play it. Yeah, see you in the games. So now, after we've watched the draft, we're moving on to the games, and because Mengu had to run and catch a flight really badly, I'm now here with Harry MTG from the Midweek Metagame podcast.
Hi everyone, yeah, while I am a modern player, I am a big fan of cubes, so I'm here to watch some good matches with Andrea.
Yeah, and we're heading into match 1 straight away against Arne Huschenbett, who will tell you about his deck himself.
What's up guys, Arne Huschenbett here, Cardtime champion. Today I'm putting Elish Norn and Iona Shield of Emeria into play with my blue-black reanimator deck.
Alright, we see both players shuffling up. It seems like Mengu is a little cold, although the sun is shining through the window.
Yeah, I think we have to give a little disclaimer here. This is the first time that Cardmarket has done a cube, and sadly there is going to be some light across the board, but let's just focus on the game for now.
Yeah, both of these players highly accomplished. Both of, like Andrea Mengucci being a mythic champion. I don't know the proper title for Arne, but he has won the Kaldheim championship. I guess that makes him the Kaldheim champion.
I would assume so, yeah. See a very land-heavy hand from Andrea here. I believe he has opposition, lands, and I think a mana dork. I would be surprised if he kept this.
Is that opposition
or
or
no,
is that
Silver
a time
Mark.
walk? Oh wow.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter
it doesn't
for now.
matter.
As he takes a mulligan, but Arne seems to be happy with the 7 he has in hand right now. Let's see if these 7 can treat Mengucci better.
See a Glenlander and a Questing Beast.
Yeah, kind of a lot of high cost cards. I think the card he bottomed there is a Creator Hoof Behemoth. And yeah, he's missing out on all the fun. No 1-drop. No 1-drop for Andrea, but a 1-drop for Arne here out of the blue deck is not the start you want to see when playing ramp.
Yeah, Ancestral Vision being really, really powerful in Cube. Don't forget, the average power level of the cards in your deck are so high, drawing 3 is really good. We've got an Arbelf off the top from Mengu.
Yeah, that's at least some ramp, as it doesn't appear like he has any ramp in hand, not even something for 2 mana, as Arne is developing his mana base to the fullest, already having access to all 3 colors of mana. Never mind, looks like, you know, he wants that double blue for now. Suspending another card, Arne playing Time Spiral block constructed here.
Yes. So I think Arne was deciding between the Night's Whisper in his hand and suspending the Cloud Gate. Oh, Questing Beast coming down though. All those suspend cards are going to take time. Mengu's like, no, I'm not going to let you have that time. You can have 3 cards in the future, but just because you have 3 extra cards doesn't mean you can use them all. He's trying to beat him down fast.
Yeah, I mean, deciding between Night's Whisper and suspending another card when your opponent is playing that Questing Beast kind of feels too slow. I don't know how good Arne feels about that Night's Whisper right now, especially since it does cost him 3 life, with the Silent Clearing only producing black mana for life. Is that a Silent Clearing?
So that's a cast down.
Yeah, so it is a Silent Clearing, that's why they're changing life totals. Arne down to 15. Cast down, targeting the Arbor Elf. I think this is a statement to how much you have to respect the mana dorks in ramp decks. Like, Arne doesn't care about the 4/4 that keeps beating him every turn. No, he cares about that 1 mana that Andrea has access to.
Well, sadly, because Cast Down is non-legendary, I believe Questing Beast is a legendary creature, right?
Oh yeah, there goes my speech about how powerful mana dorks are. Ah, Harry,
Sadly,
you're making a fool out of me.
Wow, paying 3 life to draw 2. So I'm not okay. Well, I guess if you bounce the Questing Beast and drawing 3 cards, oh no, you're not really going to bounce the Questing Beast, are you? Because it has haste.
I mean, you can bounce it to, you know, kind of stifle Andrea's mana.
Wow, and what? This hand by Arne is so insane. We've got a Karn Liberated, we've got a Necromancy, I believe.
Yeah, and there's also an Iona, I think.
Yep, so we have the Snow Ramp spell coming down.
I think it's called something with ice and hard. Ice hard or something. All right, but
Arne down to 9.
that questing beast just doing work on its own. We can't really see Andrea's hand right now, but he just doesn't have any ramp going. Only had 3 natural lands alongside a Farseek, making for 4 mana available to him in total right now. I think we saw the Glen Elandra early on, so we can be certain that he has some play here, but there might still be a better option hiding out there.
I guess from Andrea's perspective, I mean, you're thinking, what is Arne going to do next turn? He's drawing 3 cards, getting a 2/2 on the table. Yeah, you know what, I believe this is opposition coming down.
Yeah.
I really like this kind of concept. You're looking to starve him from mana because he's drawing so many cards. But I'm interested to see what Arne is going to bounce.
So do you agree with that plan? I mean, you only have 1 creature in play right now, so developing...
Well, the thing is, with opposition and Questing Beast having Vigilance, you can attack with the Questing Beast and then tap a blocker. So if you're putting Arne on a low creature count, I'm guessing he's trying to slip by. He's only on 9. He has to get, what, 2 combat steps in reality, because you're assuming Arnie's going to tap the Silent Clearing again?
Probably.
You could argue to play the Glen Elendra, but then I guess it gets bounced if Arne has a relevant non-creature that he wants to get down. So I guess Mengu was trying to cast something that Arne wasn't looking to bounce.
So all of this, as far as I know, is happening during the upkeep, right? Because
Yes.
the Suspend stuff came off of Suspend, and the Questing Beast was bounced, and of course Andrea attempted to tap something, attempted to tap the Heart. So now Arne is using the Heart that Andrea is attempting to tap to sacrifice the Silent Clearing, and once that is all done, now he moved into his draw step, and now it's his first main phase with only 3 mana available.
How many cards does Arne have in hand? Sadly, 7. Can't use his discard step as...
Oh, no,
oh
it's
no,
8,
he
it's
can.
8.
He has 8. So he can discard, and he has access to reanimating a creature now. So this is actually looking really, really bad for Andrea.
And I mean, Arne has a tough choice next turn, and I'm interested in your opinion on this. Whether you name green or blue with that Iona.
Ooh.
Alright, that's a Forbid, and it's a Forbid with buyback at that. Discarding a land and a Buried Alive, and I assume we see...
Yeah, this looks to be game.
Yeah, we're reanimating an Iona.
I presume naming green.
I would assume so too.
Or Nah, you name green. There's no way you name blue.
I mean, you could be afraid of some sort of bounce spell, yes, but the green was the name as Andrea casts Glen Elendra, a blue spell, one of the few spells he's still allowed to cast, and for the time being, that Iona can't attack because of the opposition, right? So, however, Arne is still holding that Forbid, heavily incentivized to forbid the creature because any creature hitting the battlefield enables the opposition. Back to Arne it goes, drawing another reanimation spell, so should that Iona end up in the graveyard somehow, again, we will be seeing it again.
Yeah, it seems quite hopeless for Andrea. I don't believe he has any main deck ways to get rid of the... Oh no, he has... Oh no, Gem Razor doesn't work. He can't cast
Gem
it.
Razor has been turned off.
Oh yeah, this is game over.
Yeah. We see Karn taking out the first blue land.
All you gotta do is exile the blue lands, and then Andrea can cast these spells because the Iona.
And you're dead anyways because, you know, there's an Iona hitting you every turn. So, you know, Andrea kind of facing the unfair kind of matchup he was hoping to dodge with the ramp deck. So he's gonna have to do some work with his sideboard. As we move into game 2, Arne is taking a mulligan. This time it's on him to go down to 6. And with the sun coming in, we can't really spot Mengu's hand, but we do see the Knight's Whisper hiding in Arne's hand again, alongside, I think that was a counter spell that he's intending to bottom.
Yeah, I also see a Hornet Queen in Arnie's hand, which is perfect against a deck like Andrea's, looking to get a lot of little creatures, attack in, get some chip damage. So
Not so great against Questing Beast, but still pretty good card. Andrea, once again, without a 1-mana ramp creature.
Knight's Whisper. This is all quite standard play. Oh, we see the Ancestral Vision. You know, that is the downside of playing in your deck. It's really good suspending on turn 1. Turn 3, it's not the best in the world.
Yeah.
Dre here with 4 mana, though. I'm hoping to see a Garruk coming down. Has he got it?
That would be the perfect 4-mana play.
Oh,
All right.
opposition. That's not great.
Opposition.
No creatures.
Yeah, especially bad since he had to sack the Sakura Tribe Elder for ramp and didn't open up with a 1-mana creature for ramping either. So opposition not doing a lot here. Still a very powerful card though, right? I mean, Arne is not ramping. Arne only has access to 3 lands this turn.
Yeah, we can see an Acidic Slime in Andrea's hand. So if you think about it, while he's been very slow here, you can Acidic Slime a land, tap a land, it's Stone Rain for 5 mana. Double Stone Rain, I mean, for 5 mana. And then you can kind of capitalize on that because you know Arne's deck. Oh,
All
go
right.
to discard.
This is spicy because Arne decides to not play a land to be able to discard the Hornet Queen into the graveyard. And now the Acidic Slime can take out half
Come
of
on, Andrea.
take out half of Arne's mana base and tap the other half. So now Arne is really playing with, you know, the stuff that he deploys every turn. And as long as Andrea can keep the stream of creatures coming...
Yeah, this is game over.
I mean, yeah, drawing cards in 4 turns is nice, Arne, but depending on how many creatures Andrea can find, this doesn't look great.
I guess in Arne's position, you're hoping that he does... Ooh, okay, I mean, if you're revealing Questing Beast...
I mean, revealing Questing Beast, okay. He cannot deploy the Questing Beast this turn. However, next turn, it's going to be a different story. You mentioned it earlier, Questing Beast has Vigilance. So when you deploy Questing Beast, you can get in, hit for 4, and then still tap something down.
Avenger, this is game over.
Avenger of Zendikar?
Getting six plant tokens. And then, well, now, there's no way. I actually think it's almost, I mean, yeah, you have to be able to get rid of the opposition on your upkeep at instant speed. I guess you do have a lot of draw steps-ish, because Andrea's going to be pumping his plants now with the Avenger trigger.
Depending on, like, maybe if there's a Farseek on the top of Andrea's deck or something,
Yeah, it's game over.
Arne just decides that this has to be game over, and I mean, what a beating that was. And it kind of, you know, came down to Arne missing out on a land drop to enable the discard of the Hornet Queen. I mean, obviously it's the decision he has to take to kind of get that threat into his graveyard, but it kind of came back to bite him. Game 3, Arne is on a mulligan again. So let's see if he can overcome Andrea for this final game. What do you think of the mulligan on the play?
Well, I think it's very important for Arne to have a destructive hand against these Mana Dork decks. He needs a kill spell here. Okay, suspending. So now Andrea essentially has access to Soul Ring. Yep, as he's leveling up his Tree Speaker, and he's going to capitalize on the mana. He's got Farseek. Okay.
This is exactly the start you want to see out of the green ramp deck, right? Turn 1 Tree Speaker, turn 2 level up into another ramp spell.
Yeah, he's got access to 6 mana next turn, so Arne really has to do something here impactful. Either set up some sort of reanimation, or...
Yeah, he is setting...
Is this Buried Alive?
It is Buried Alive. Ooh. He's setting up the reanimation. The question is, will he be able to pull it off? So he's looking at, Elish Norn, Iona, and Hornet Queen. Elish Norn, great against a lot of Mana Dorks.
Yeah.
Elish Norn basically also turning off opposition because, well, all the creatures that Andrea could put into play will just get -2/-2.
So Andrea really needs some sort of opposition, Glenelendra, or sort of reman style effect here to really keep Arne in check. If he can reanimate any of these, he's in a bad spot. What do we see in Arne's hand? I think we see a Knight's Whisper, a land, and a Time Warp.
Yeah, it's some sort of Judge promo. I'm not the best with those.
He has 3 spells. We'll have to see next turn.
So did Andrea just get an untapped basic? How did he get an untapped planes?
I think he once upon a time.
Oh, that might, yeah, that might be the case. Of course, that was his natural land drop, and then he put that into his hand. Yeah. Questing Beast, not the impactful kind of play that Andrea was looking for, though, because now if Arne has reanimation, that just resolves, and like you kind of, you know, you're facing down an Iona or an Elish Norn.
Yeah, Arne here has a lot of time. I'm not really sure what you'd be afraid of. Acidic Slime doesn't really do much.
Depending on how you reanimate your creature, Acidic Slime can do a lot. So for example, if the Necromentia, I think the card is called, if that reanimates the Iona, I think you are forced to name green, not to lose to an Acidic Slime. But as he does it, this I have no idea what card this is. Oh!
This is a...
this is the Treasure Mage for instants or sorceries. Kinda.
I know exactly what card this is, but I can't. It's 2 and a blue.
It's on screen. It's on screen for the viewers, so no worries. They'll know.
Okay.
All right. So Andrea knows that Exhume is coming next turn. Andrea knows that there will be one of the creatures from Arne's graveyard entering the battlefield, and he also knows that there's this Riftwing Cloudscape.
Wow, this is really, really tough. I mean, your best bet is you can opposition tap both black sources.
Yeah, like you kind of have to rely on them on Arne not having another one.
Wait.
The Gem Razor doesn't do anything right now, does it?
Doesn't
it just ups the clock. So Andrea doesn't seem to have any important piece of interaction or something going, but he just decides to put on the pressure. And I mean, it's kind of working. Arne's on 6. However, now comes Arne's powerful turn, right? Like this is the turn that Arne set up last turn, the last few turns with Buried Alive and tutoring out the Exhume. This is where it all comes together. Now we'll see how powerful that will end up being.
I'd be very surprised if he doesn't reanimate the Elish Norn. What exactly would you go for here in Arne? I think it's between Elish Norn and... No, I think it's probably Elish Norn. Just make it really, really hard for Mengucci to play a creature again.
Yeah,
kill the 1/1, turn the Questing Beast into a 2/2.
And I think he agrees as he bounces the mutated creature, which with Elish Norn on the battlefield, it cannot be mutated again, right? Because well, the Mana Dork just won't stick around. Let's see if he agrees. He gets back the Elish Norn, yes.
That makes a lot of sense.
Avacyn's Pilgrim off the board.
Oh, and he has Cast Down as well. Okay, so this is the Questing Beast is Andrea's last bet to kind of win.
And now only being a 2/2. However, it still has that text that says it cannot be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less.
Yep. So we know Mengucci has a gem. I think it's quite free to attack with the Questing Beast. You're very happy to trade. Yeah, obviously going to 4 here, no biggie.
And the Gem Razor just hard cast this time.
A nice 4-mana 1/1, that's dead.
Arne taking another point of damage, down to 3 with the cast down to get rid of the Gem Razor. And now it's only a 2/2, but that 2/2 is looking very scary.
There's no way that Arne Knight's Whispers here, right? No way.
Oh, Arne!
They're greedy. Oh, dang. Because now opposition actually wins. Oh no, of course Arne can. Oh no, but the creatures have 2 and 1, so.
I mean, Arne does have a lot of blockers now, right? With Elish Norn giving all of your creatures +2/+2.
Oh, of course, yes. So they can block the questing beast. My mistake.
It's still, I mean, going down to 1 still disables the silent clearing. I see a Thirst for Knowledge, I think, hiding out in Arne's hand still. And then he now has to find a way of, don't give Andrea too much time to find an answer to, you know, the blockers, to push through that final point of damage. But also, you know, don't die in the meantime. As the silent clearing has effectively become useless, I assume Arne will also be cracking that one at the end of turn. He does.
Makes sense.
And Andrea, without a play, just passing the turn. You can see the confidence in Arne. Arne untapping, like, kind of happily, I didn't die this turn. Is that a counterspell?
Yes, it is.
So that, I mean, we know that Elish Norn restricts Andrea's options heavily, right? There are very few cards that he can top deck, and now with the counterspell, he needs to top deck 2 good cards to, like, kind of get through. I don't see how Andrea gets out of this. All right, that's an Avenger of Zendikar. Arne has the counterspell at the ready, is thinking about it, because, I mean, the plant tokens die, right?
I would definitely counterspell this. I mean, you want to remove all the blockers. Andrea's on 5. If you attack with everything, you have lethal.
Yep. Arne has identified the same thing, and that's the handshake.
Yeah, sadly there we could see Mengucci had all the cheap creatures that obviously died to Elish Norn, and Elish Norn pumping Arne's team makes those 1/1s and those 2/2s really, really good.
And what a crucial decision from Arne to reanimate the Elish Norn instead of, like, the Iona or something. Yeah, it really worked out well for him that game. So next round is against Carl, and we'll let him introduce the deck himself.
My name is Carl. I manage video marketing at Cardmarket, and I'm playing a black-white mid-range deck with Armageddon and all the not fun stuff.
Okay, as the players shuffle up, we just got to give a quick disclaimer that sadly, as this event was done on the fly, there were some technical difficulties with Carl's camera, so you're just going to have to look at this nice still image.
Yeah.
Okay, both players drawing their opening 7.
And Andrea seems to be managing something off the sides.
Seems to be having a nice chat. I mean, at the end of the day, we're here to have fun, talk with people. But
It's a cube draft, you know? It's not a GP day too.
I see a Thought Season of Wasteland in Carl's hand. Actually, that honestly isn't great against Andrea. We're gonna have a Thought Seize here.
Yeah, it really depends on Andrea's hand, but in general, the ramp deck is kind of repetitive. Like,
Ooh, 4 lands, okay.
and then a Sylvan Library, a Once Upon a Time, and a Garruk. So no 1 mana ramp, no 2 mana ramp.
I'd be very surprised if Carl doesn't take the Sylvan. Yeah, that makes sense. Great play by Andrea not casting the Once Upon a Time in response, because now you get more information on what card Carl's taking, you get more information on the top card of your deck, so this just makes a ton of sense, and you're obviously looking for a mana dork here.
Yeah, he has found the Ignoble Hierarch already, so that's, in my opinion, the obvious pick, right? Oh, he's thinking about the Avacyn's Pilgrim to fix white for Fractured Sanity, which is the only white card, if I remember correctly, in his deck. But he goes with the Ignoble Hierarch, deciding that that Exalted might just be worth a bit more than access to white mana on turn 2.
Yep. So it's important here that Carl doesn't show that he has Wasteland. Yep, going with, well, he probably has a white spell to cast.
A Mesmeric Fiend.
Yes.
Once again, Andrea revealing his hand, only a mana leak added. And Carl taking the Garruk. I mean, yeah, who's not afraid of Garruk? But a huge top deck. I mean, maybe not huge yet, but it will get huge, right?
Yeah, definitely. Something that Andrea can dump all this extra mana that he has into to his creatures. He can also just, when you're holding up a counterspell, you often waste mana. Well, in fact, you can tap down to 2 mana. Carl knows about the mana leak. So now, with, I believe this is Phyrexian Arena coming into play by Carl, he's slowly pulling ahead, to be honest.
And Andrea has to kind of put all of his eggs into this Hex Drinker, right? Like, there's not a lot going on. We saw him top deck another land. So, yeah, with the Exalted, it's a hit for 5.
This is going to be interesting. I wonder how Carl is going to deal with this. And to be fair, on Mengucci's side, I'm on the beatdown plan. I don't mind that you're drawing the extra card every turn. That's an extra life point that you got to deal with, that I don't have to deal with.
Yeah, for sure.
Got the mana leak to hold up. Got a creature protection from instance. He's just on the beatdown plan.
All right, and I mean, Karl does have an Armageddon in hand, but the downside of Armageddon is there's already like a big creature in play for Andrea. Also, Andrea has the Ignoble Hierarch to, cast cheap ramp spells with, and he also has at least one more land in hand.
Yeah, it's really difficult for Karl because here, if he casts a spell and it doesn't do anything, Andrea will let it resolve. If he casts a spell that's relevant, Andrea will counter it. So, really, really tough for Karl to navigate this spot, I believe. And I'm interested in what he's holding up at instant speed.
I can't identify the black card in his hand, but no, that might just be another land. I think that's
it might
all.
Just be 3 lands Armageddon.
Yeah, that hand really does nothing against the Hex Drinker, and it can really get out of control here.
There is some thought for, depending on the answers in Karl's deck, I guess if you blow up all your lands, you're just going to lose to the Hex Drinker at max. Yeah, it makes sense for Karl here not to cast it and just hope that Phyrex in Arena helps you get there, but Mengucci's hitting hard.
Yeah.
Hitting for 7, hitting for 7.
He's only 1 level counter away from that good old protection from everything Hex Drinker. Which, I mean, that's just game over, right? Unless Karl draws like Wrath of God or something. Obviously, Andrea not heading for the final mana to keep up a counterspell.
Yeah, what would be quite good lore-wise is if Karl played Damned going on with the Modern Horizons.
Yeah, a Modern Horizons card to keep another Modern Horizons card in check.
Players seem to be debating about something.
Maybe they debate about what protection from everything explicitly means, but Karl, there's no talking your way out of this. Protection from everything means protection from everything. And that looks to be the case as early as next turn. All right, as Karl draws 2 cards, I don't see an answer for the Hex Drinker.
I think it's Immutable and something else. Yeah, Karl is definitely in a bad spot. GT, that gains him life.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the Phyrexian Arena putting him down to 6. Usually the GT could save him by killing the Ignoble Hierarch. I guess it still can by gaining life. You can gain 4 life, go up to 10.
Yeah, kill the Hierarch, gain 2 life, go to 8.
Yeah.
Just about surviving.
All right, protection from everything.
Go to 8, no Solitude from Karl. To obviously, because it had protection from instants, the only answer would be some sort of creature-based answer.
And that's a passing of the turn. Now, GT only gains 4 life a turn, but currently Karl is taking 7 each turn from Hex Drinker plus Phyrexian Arena. So Karl at a virtual 5 would need to find another way to gain another 3 life somewhere, but doesn't.
Yeah. Great. Well played by Andrea. Very good at identifying when he needs to be on the beatdown plan.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have a lot of action going on. His only action was the Hex Drinker, and that's what he went for.
Yep.
Moving into game 2. Andrea a bit lucky here with Karl taking a mulligan on the play. Once again, mulligan on the play. That's just such a bad feeling.
That is how you win matches of Magic, though. If your opponent mulls to on the play. See this hand from Karl. What is he working?
Oh, that's an answer to the Hex Drinker.
That is bottom. I mean, it makes sense. I think his hand is quite land light.
Yeah.
And he's off to the races with the Legion's Landing, a classic from Standard. That is a good way to both get a threat on the table and get some mana in the later turns. But we have a Once Upon a Time end step by Andrea, which is quite surprising. Or.
Are we sure about that? I can't imagine Andrea not taking his draw first.
I'd be surprised if he did that on Karl's instead.
All right, Questing Beast, not impressive against what I've seen from Karl's deck so far. However, turn 1 Jiraga Tree Speaker, that one, we saw that one get out of hand earlier.
Yeah, this one is definitely, ooh, the nice attack by Karl. Andrea's got to respect it. Okay, now we have,
Spirit of the Labyrinth preventing Andrea from drawing additional cards.
Wow, Andrea is dumping his hand. This is what happens when you have a Soul Ring. I'm sure all our Commander players out there can feel Karl's pain.
Yeah, but the level up on turn 2 followed up by dropping additional cards on the table is just what makes Jiraga Tree Speaker so powerful. Basically, a Soul Ring at some point. And Carl is apparently willing to trade the Spirit of the Labyrinth for either of Andrea's creatures.
So now is to decide between Flicker Wisp and Brimaz. I think, honestly, I would go for the Brimaz here.
Yeah,
if
same.
You want to disincentivize Hexdrinker from attacking, you want to build your board.
Yeah, you want to talk Andrea into leveling up the Hexdrinker so then you can Flicker Wisp it potentially.
Yeah, that's also a very, very good observation. Access to blue mana now by Andrea, but he has access to 3, 4, 6 mana here. So you could pump Hexdrinker up to 4 and have mana leak up if that's what you're looking to do.
And yeah, any interaction from Andrea will heavily limit Carl's options here because Carl's cards in hand, I mean, the Flicker Wisp cost 3, that's an entire turn. Deploying Brimaz was an entire turn, and I don't see how Carl, or I haven't seen a lot of cards in Carl's deck have a lot of impact for little mana.
With this, with the Spirit being an enchantment, you can in fact destroy it because of with Gem Razor, I should say.
Yeah, Gem Razor takes out the Spirit of the Labyrinth because it's an enchantment creature. You know, back from the first time when we visited Theros. That was the first, major enchantment creature theme. And now also swinging in with Gem Razor.
I think he's using the Arbor Elf's ability here to pump.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. You're completely right. I was, mistaken. We're pumping up the Gem Razor. All right, 3 mana, looks like a Flicker Wisp, yep.
Ooh, yep, like you said, great play by Carl here. Sadly, the Legion's Landing does not flip the way Brimaz works. You attack and then the trigger's put on the stack. Oh
Is
wait,
it?
no.
I think Andrea's thinking the same thing, so now they're giving it a read. I assume the trigger is only put onto the stack when there are 3 creatures attacking at the same time. It's not like if there are creatures attacking, double check and then... it won't flip.
I'm actually not sure. Wait, Judge!
I think they're clearing up the same thing.
Oh, they actually have a judge here. This is good.
And yeah, it has been clarified that it does not flip.
Yeah.
The trigger only goes onto the stack when you attack with 3 creatures and you do not declare the attack with 3 creatures. You do only attack with 2.
Simon, I basically am a level 3 judge at this point. Great observation. Hexer comes back, no counters obviously. Now this is Andrea's ballpark to actually do something. Carl's making a wider board, he's on 22 life, Andrea doesn't have much pressure, he's at 10. We need something big here, Questing Beast, okay?
That is, it's a big creature.
So I wonder how Questing Beast works if it gets blocked with Brimaz, because it says make a 1/1 that's blocking the Questing Beast.
Yeah, it just blocks it. So those creatures would trade. Blocking the Questing Beast with Brimaz would result in a full trade.
Yeah. Okay, so Carl does not block, makes sense, you're on 22. Sadly, top deck's another land.
Yeah, that's kind of a crucial draw step because right now you have the pressure going, but without any action to keep it going, you're kind of running out of steam where Andrea will have access to that huge Hexdrinker later on, has successfully stabilized with Gem Razor and Questing Beast, and now it's, Carl's turn to find anything to further his game plan, whereas Andrea, he has a clear game plan laid out.
What I'm surprised, I think potentially I would think about kamikazing my 2 1/1s, just sacrificing them to flip the Legion's Landing potentially that turn.
So what? But you don't only sacrifice the 2 1/1s, you would also sacrifice one of your other creatures, right?
Well, I believe he doesn't have any...
I think the Gem Razor...
Oh, the Gem Razor has Reach, of course.
In a tradition of Reach being the unread keyword that nobody knows about on creatures.
Yeah, I was trying to work out why Carl didn't attack with the... Oh, that... Oh, a nice clap from Carl, yep. Sadly does not have an answer to leveling up the Hexdrinker, so now here I think this is just Andrea's game. Deciding...
there might still be... I don't know what Carl could pull out of the hat, but getting rid of the Gem Razor would be step 1, right? Because then the Flicker Wisp can come in. In an ideal world, Carl will top deck something, a removal spell for the Gem Razor, and then something like Jite or a sword or something, like something real impactful that can buff the Flicker Wisp. But as it stands, Brimez seems to be trading for the Questing Beast. And with the game slowing down, it does look like the Hex Drinker will take over the game. Mesmeric Fiend, that's not the top deck you're looking for.
Yeah, or is that Bone Shredder maybe?
No, it's Mesmeric Fiend.
Yeah.
Revealing Crater.
Very good.
And Andrea was so close to casting it, but now he has to. All he has left is a protection from everything Hex Drinker.
Yeah, sucks to be Andrea.
Poor Andrea.
An elf off the top. I mean, a creature's better than nothing.
Yeah, but at this point, you just level up the Hex Drinker, get in. This is a 3-turn clock.
I mean, might as well level it up to 10. Why not? Got 2 extra lands, would you?
I mean, you should probably level up the Jiraga Tree Speaker.
Ooh! Yes, that's actually, that would be the actual play.
You know.
Mutable off the top by Carl.
Yeah, no.
Say go. Not really much you can do.
Wall of Blossoms is a redraw for Andrea, drawing another land, putting Carl down to 6, which makes it lethal next turn. And unless Carl can find something off the top that makes that breaks the match for Andrea, Carl drawing another land. That's
Andrea celebrating before the draws. That was actually a very interesting game. I think that Carl had a really fast start, but Andrea had an even faster start.
Yeah, I mean, if Carl just had one more good draw to like keep his action going, maybe an equipment or just something to power through, maybe to get rid of one of Andrea's larger creatures, he could have had the game. But as it stands, yeah, he just kind of had turns 1, 2, 3 covered and then just fell off.
Yeah, especially as well, though, Andrea showed the power of how one pick in a draft really counts. The Hex Drinker won both games.
Yeah.
That was really a good display of the fact that every pick does matter, and it was good that it won both games, and it was a mana sink.
Yeah. All right, going into round 3, Andrea will be playing against Maya with her Jeskai deck, but we're not telling you about that. Let's hear it from her.
I'm Maya, and I'm playing a bunch of red, white, and blue cards. You can find me on Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter under the name Hellfox_XOXO. I would love to see you.
As the players are opening up their hands, good 7 hopefully for both of them, we see Andrea already with an Avacyn's Pilgrim in hand looking to develop his board.
Yeah, this is one of the first games Andrea is actually going to cast a 1-drop right on turn 1.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll see the power of that moving forward. I can't tell the other cards in his hand right now. I see an island, but I don't see any of the other stuff.
Okay, my 1 mana 2/2, aggressive start. That does match up nicely against Andrea's 1/1, but Andrea is going to be dumping here. Okay.
Oh, now even the 1/1 could attack.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
With the Exalted trigger, Andrea actually has 2 power on the board. But this is exactly what Andrea is looking for, right? Mana ramp on turn 1, mana ramp on turn 2. Maybe, you know, there would have probably been a better mana ramp thing going on for Andrea, ideally, like another Farseek or something. But as it stands, his board is looking pretty. Do I spot an opposition in his hand? Opposition would be backbreaking, right?
Yeah.
This early into the game with 2 mana dorks?
Especially opposition is really good, really good against control. One thing as a control player is you want to use all your mana, pass with mana up, and opposition definitely stops that.
Yeah, so Maya getting in with the Isamaru, putting Andrea down to 18, down to 17 after the fetch. I assume Andrea is fetching a breeding pool here. He is. And currently, Andrea doesn't have access to 2 blue mana, but we know he has an island in his hand. So that's taken care of.
What is Andrea gonna go for here? Oh, we see the island and...
Yeah, double blue, that has to be opposition.
Opposition.
That's an opposition. And Andrea has to be feeling good here, right? I mean, he's already got 2 creatures in his hand. I see an Arbor Elf hiding out there, if I can identify the artwork correctly.
Yeah, that definitely does look like an Arbor Elf.
Oh yeah, and Andrea just identified, oops, I mistapped. And we mentioned it before, we're at a casual cube event. We're not judging for mistapping. So retapping so he can cast that Arbor Elf and now starts tapping down Maya's lands, which really shuts down her options, like heavily.
Yeah, Maya has to aggressively use Search for Azcanta here to bin things. You need to find an instant speed answer to opposition, because while Andrea can tap her lands, don't forget, you can use those lands in response to the tapping ability.
Yeah, so instant speed interaction would be best. I don't know what Andrea has to follow up the opposition with here, but we'll see about that in a minute.
So we have a pathway drawn off the top by Maya.
Yeah, but playing it on the red side.
Okay, makes sense. Now she has access to only a 2-mana Signet. I presume that's what she's going to go for.
Yeah, I assume so too.
Yep.
Signet.
Develop your mana. I mean, if Andrea's going to tap your mana, you got to get mana on the table.
Yep. And then, you know, the Isamaru keeps speeding down, but like starting next turn, Maya just won't have access to resources anymore, will she? Like, oh, and this isn't...
Oh, Stone Rain draw card.
Another creature to use with opposition. Still 2 mana available without using creatures, because you don't want to use your creatures for mana at this point, because you do want to keep tapping down Maya stuff. But yeah, Andrea tapping down all of Maya's things. With the amount of time that Andrea spent thinking there, I assume he has a counterspell in hand.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that Maya really has to identify here. Search for Azcanta. This is the only way I can potentially win. Andrea's adding a creature a turn. I'm playing a land a turn. It's honestly, if I was in my spot, I think I'd be locked out of the game.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's not looking good. It's very much not looking good.
I believe that's a Sword of Body and Mind. Maya decides to keep it in her hand and hits in for 2.
I mean, Sword of Body and Mind is green and blue. You have to say that, but you currently can't deploy anything. You can't deploy the sword. You can't deploy anything. You kind of have to wait and try to find any sort of instant speed disenchant effect.
We do see a Deceiver Exarch in Maya's hand. I think also something important to identify is that you can cast it in response to the opposition triggers, like I mentioned, so potentially here she could cast it if she thinks, nope. Search for Azcanta.
She doesn't go for it.
We have, okay, she bins it. It's not a removal spell, bins it.
That was a phantasmal image.
Yeah, it's just not looking. I honestly think that you're pretty much locked out of the game.
Yep, I agree. By the way, the Gem Razor not working as intended with the phantasmal image, like that cannot take care of the opposition.
Yes, because you have to mutate the Gem Razor in order for it to destroy an enchantment, that's correct.
But for Andrea, the Gem Razor does work. It does a lot of work. 5 damage to be exact with the Exalted trigger off of Noble Hierarch. I can't identify the second card in Andrea's hand, but the first one is a mana leak. I can tell you that. So he does have access to even a counterspell. And I can tell you now, Harry, that with the opposition, Maya will not be able to pay for the mana leak.
Not really much Maya can do here. Just play a land, hope Andrea plays opposition incorrectly, I guess.
Yep, Phantasmal Image coming down, but...
Yeah, I got a mana leak.
Yeah, and you can see Maya's pain, you know, not getting to play with any lands during her own turn. But the beats keep on coming. And they don't stop coming. Sakura Tribalder, just another creature to add to the opposition of creatures that keep Maya's board in check. Gem Razor being a 5/5 with Exalted is very nice because it does shorten the clock by 1 turn. It goes from 5 turns as a 4/4 to 4 turns as a 5/5. And only 2 more attacks for Andrea to win the match. Not the match, the game. Looks like an Otawara on top there.
Just not good enough, sadly.
It can't bounce enchantments, can it?
I mean, even if you could bounce the opposition, for example, you tap out on your upkeep to bounce it, and then Andrea's going to untap and just recast it.
Yeah, you're right.
So you just can't really use a bounce effect. You have to have some sort of instant speed removal, which is just so hard to have, especially main deck.
Yeah. The follow-up draw was a Chromatic Lantern, also very useless against that opposition. Isamaru, you know, it's just this loyal dog that just keeps doing the work, getting in for 2, putting Andrea down to 9, but
Oof.
yeah. Garrick coming in, making it 3-3. Gemrazor probably coming in and taking that Maya down to 5. This is just the end of it, right?
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if Maya was able to get back in this. I guess Anger of the Gods somewhat helps if you had some sort of like kill your enchantment Anger of the Gods, but I feel like this, yeah, there's just no way.
Yeah, Andrea also not forgetting to tap down stuff.
Yeah, I guess with Garrick on 2 you can kill it, but
yeah, I mean, Isamaru being the loyal dog that she is. I don't know Isamaru's gender. I don't know. Yeah, Isamaru doing the loyal dog's work of taking out Garrick, but afterwards looking pretty grim. And that's game 1.
Okay, moving on to the next game, I think Maya really needs to identify Andrea's game plan. She didn't cast 1 removal spell there. You have to keep Andrea's board clear.
Yeah, you kind of have to keep that in check, right? So, from Andrea's standpoint, I don't know what's going on really. Like between Search for Azcanta and Isamaru, those are very contrasting signals, right? Where Search for Azcanta is usually a very control-oriented deck.
Honestly, I would just run back the same 40 if I was Andrea. I think just get more info game 2. If you go game 3, then you can make some sideboard choices. But we have the players opening hands. Quite a land-heavy hand with Maya on a mulligan. She's got Grim Lavamancer, a Fervent Champion, a Search for Azcanta, 4 lands.
Yeah, 4 lands. You can probably bottom one of those. As for Andrea, I do see 2 forests already. And is that, I think, an Arbor Elf, Questing Beast, Once Upon a Time, and a Wall of Blossoms, if I'm not mistaken? It's hard to tell, though.
So here Maya's deciding between Fervent Champion and Grim Lavaman, so she goes for the Fervent Champion. Going to be swinging in for just 1 here. There's no other knight on the table. Obviously, Andrea drawing an island. Once Upon a Time. Clearly looking for a 1-drop here. That's the power of this card. You need a land, you need a 1-drop, you need a big creature. That's what you go for. See, Glenalendra, a couple lands.
Yeah, and I mean, he already has the 1-drop in an Arbor Elf, so he might just take, you know, something larger. I'm not sure about his land count.
Yeah, I definitely think Glenalendra here makes sense. You know that Maya is playing some non-creature deck. You saw Search for Azcanta, that's designed for non-creatures. And then you're also getting some sort of payoff for this Arbor Elf you have.
Yeah, so next turn, Andrea has access to 3 mana. Phantasma Image, the pickup for Maya, and I assume she'll go for the Search for Azcanta, and she does.
She's assembling a nice combo here. I mean, if you bin every card with Search for Azcanta, you're fueling up for the Grim Lavamancer, and then that can kill the Arbor Elf and just kind of make your life very easy. It sucks that Maya doesn't have any fetch lands. Obviously, that's very good with Search and as well as Grim Lavamancer, but she can slowly fill up the graveyard here while Andrea does his stuff. We've seen a much slower draw from Andrea here. You know, last game he was doing very explosive things with opposition. Now he's just countering with Wall of Blossoms.
Yeah. Although, it looks like he does have a second mana dork.
Oof.
I mean, Jiraga Tree Speaker not as impactful on later turns than it is on turn 1. It kind of has that Ancestral Vision thing going on where it's extremely good on turn 1 and then it's still okay during the later turns.
Yeah, good decision by Maya here to bin. Like we said, you gotta just fuel up that graveyard for that Grim Lavamancer.
Yep, and I assume, would you at this point deploy the Phantasmal Image, Harry?
I think that if I had a way to put more cards into the graveyard, I'd Phantasmal Image the Grim Lavamancer just because I'm scared of removal, but I definitely think that you're playing against green. Andrea's obviously got big creatures in his deck. I think you play patient with it. You're representing a counterspell here. You know, you gotta respect some sort of counterspell in a Search for Azcanta deck. And yeah, Andrea's just gonna ramp up here. It's a bit awkward when you have land Phantasmal Image in your hand. There's not really much you can do. You could copy the Wall of Blossoms if you're feeling desperate, but I'd say patient for now.
Yeah, I agree. However, the patience is kind of getting punished because Andrea is just going for that Garruk, no counterspell in Maya's hand, and now the board is looking overwhelming for Maya. Like, how is Maya going to deal with all those creatures from Andrea?
So that is a Banefire, which is an interesting one. You can Banefire for X's 3.
But you don't really have any good targets. Like, yes, you can take out the Mana Dork, but at this point it's too late for those to be taken out, right?
Yeah,
like,
and you don't have double red to Banefire plus Grim Lavamancer, so...
Yeah, so Andrea must be feeling super comfortable here. I mean, we're getting a glimpse at his hand here. I think there's Birds of Paradise, not too impactful, but...
Maya top deck Spell Queller. So now she has the choice between...
Yeah, either... I mean, yeah, the Phantasmal Image is still not a great choice, right?
Phantasmal Image. No, I would definitely... I would honestly just hold up Grim Lavamancer here and Spell Queller.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably. Yeah, also, we know about Andrea having... what's the name? The 4-mana 2/2? Glenelendra in hand. Maya tries to attack here, but I mean, yeah, that just gets eaten up by Sakura Trailblazer and Wall of Blossoms.
I'm surprised that Andreas blocked and sacked with Sakura and not trading with the Grim Lavamancer here. I'm surprised, because it's the only card I think Maya really has to get back in the game. I guess he's prioritizing the land. He could have Craterhoof in his hand, I guess, if he's really prioritizing the mana. But here he is going for Glenelendra.
This also gives him the second blue source to keep up counter magic straight away.
So Maya lets her resolve. So she's saying, okay, I don't have any non-creatures in my hand. You're not going to be using the Glenelendra. It's just a 4-mana 2/2, which is interesting. It makes some sense when you're so light on resources, as well as you can Phantasmal Image the Glenelendra.
Yeah, true. You can. Though most of the threats in Andrea's deck will be creatures, probably.
So Andrea goes for Questing Beast here.
Yeah, this is definitely the spot to, pop the Spell Queller. Like, you can't let the Questing Beast hit you. That's just going to dominate the battlefield entirely.
Yeah.
At least the Glenelendra is smaller than your Spell Queller, but that's not going to work.
Remand.
Andrea's final card in hand is Remand. That even redraws him something, lets the Questing Beast hit the battlefield. Ah, what a beating. That's brutal.
So here we really need to see Elspeth is not good enough, sadly.
Not at all. Sword of Body and Mind is a good sword, but like, you can't even equip it this turn.
So if you Phantasmal Image the Questing Beast, what happens?
I guess those trade? Yeah, because like, you either attack and they trade, or you block and they trade. I don't see how it plays out any other way.
Yeah, and Questing Beast deals damage to Planeswalkers when it connects, so with Andrea's face, so I definitely would trade if I was Andrea.
Yeah, probably, right? Unless you have an easy thing that targets the Phantasmal Image.
Ooh, that's a very good point.
Because remember, as soon as Phantasmal Image becomes the target of any spell or ability, it does have to be sacrificed, but Andrea decides it's not worth hoping for that target to be found. And Maya just has to pass the turn without any more action.
And now I believe Garruk's -5 does pump the team. Maya at 60. I don't think you go for the pump just yet, though.
Yeah, there might still be some interaction.
Oh, take 2. What's this? What's Andrea got?
It must be absurdly expensive, right? Taking 2 off a breeding pool?
He knows about the Spell Queller as well. I mean, you're not going to cast anything that can be quellered.
I mean, Maya doesn't have the...
Oh, but she doesn't have the mana. My mistake.
Maya doesn't have the mana. All right. Yeah, this looks like a Craterhoof. Oh, is this?
Oh,
yeah, the Craterhoof finish.
Here we go.
No, Avenger of Zen? No, I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm looking at.
Oh, Green Sun Zenith for Craterhoof.
Nice. That's just perfect.
I believe?
Yeah, it's 9 mana, so X equals 8. Maya has every right to look terrified as Creative Behemoth enters the battlefield. And you can see the joy in Andrea's face. He knows he got away with something with that not being countered. And as he swings for what's surely lethal, it's +4/+4 in every creature. So it's 12, 17, 18, 19, 20 damage exactly, I think, if I didn't miscount.
Goes to -7.
So sad. But that's the match. That's the match for Andrea as he goes 2-1 in this, casual Berlin Legacy Cube draft.
Yeah, very, very well played by Andrea there. I think he really displayed how when you're playing ramp, you're not always ramping.
Yeah.
You've got to sometimes take the aggro plan. Sometimes when you're playing its control, you've got to prioritize different things. And he really displayed that, just because a deck has a one game plan doesn't mean the games will all play out the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it also, we talked about this during the draft too, kind of the interaction in mono green actually has some value. You don't just build the pure dumb ramp deck. Build a ramp deck and put some interaction in there to. We saw key moments like remanding the Spell Queller or countering. I can't remember earlier. Anyways, interaction is good even in ramp decks. So keep that in mind as we conclude these games. If you like this kind of setup where we commentate on Andrea Mengucci drafting, not only drafting, also playing, then please go down there, like and subscribe because that really helps us show that you guys enjoy this content. With that being said, you can find Harry over on Midweek Metagame or on his own YouTube channel. You want to go with that, Il?
You know what? No, I want to support the video. Let me know in the comment section down below what your favorite cube draft archetype is, and let's get some hype on this video. And then a lot of effort went into this.
Yeah, truly. Like the setup was intense, and then also you can find Andrea Mengucci's own channel. He also has a channel where he does a bunch of gameplay. With that being said, we'll see you next time.